Out in the woods, you can think better. George D. Aiken. George Aiken was born in Dummerston in 1892 in a Vermont that had long been a Republican state. But there were two distinct factions of Republican, those who represented the interests of business and those who represented the people's interests. As he came up in politics, first as a town representative from Putney, then House Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor for 2 terms, Aiken always represented the people and made a career of standing up to those who profited in business at the expense of ordinary citizens. Aiken started his career as a farmer growing blueberries and raspberries and maintained a large farm even after going to Washington. He was also an entrepreneur, selling seeds and wreaths by mail order around the world. Aiken's interest in energy began when he was in the Vermont legislature, when he opposed legislation that would allow private power companies to profit from the use of Vermont's rivers. Instead, he promoted rural electric co-ops, believing that Vermonters, rather than the big boys, should be the owners of their energy supply. Aiken spent his entire career in the U.S. Senate on the Agriculture and Forestry Committee, where he developed legislation to leverage U.S. agricultural products, both in foreign aid and nutrition programs for women and children. Aiken was also on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, largely because he believed that using food and natural resources as the basis of trade with other countries would win us more favor than doing trade with military goods. His reputation for common sense, often delivered with a great sense of humor, made him a reliable ally for both Democrat and Republican presidents, and is famous for his friendships with senators on both sides of the aisle. Aiken refused to accept any corporate money for his campaigns because he didn't want their meddling and because he was so popular he didn't need it.
As far as I know, I don't recall ever asking anyone to vote for me, but maybe I did. Perhaps they got the idea sometimes to go and visit with them and stay so long they would volunteer their support in order to get me going.
George Aiken is remembered as the wise old owl of the Senate, a model Republican and legislator whose empathy, vision, and ability to communicate helped shape Vermont and American policy for over 40 years. Through George Aiken's generous endowment to the University of Vermont, his legacy lives on through the Aiken Lecture Series, where distinctive views on public policy are brought to a wide audience.